Hello! Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of I have no idea, part series. I think it's pretty hilarious the fact that my video on how to play Automaton somehow is doing better than my own personal music. But, I'm back again to make part 2 because I figured it'd actually be kind of interesting. I did not expect it to blow up like it did. This Automaton video is going to cover the advanced, that's hard to say that with a straight face, the advanced side of Automaton, if you will, which I guess for the professional Automaton players out there means the harder stuff. But honestly, jokes aside, it is actually possible to transcend yourself to a different level of Automaton playing if you dedicate yourself to it. As goofy of an instrument as it is, there is some level of practice you need to be able to play it well and efficiently. And so what I'm playing for you today is this. I hope all of you recognize that as Fir Elise by Beethoven. Obviously, it's been modified very heavily and a short snippet, because trust me, it's a lot harder than it looks. It took me about 750,000 takes to get that right. Just kidding, but it was a lot. So number one thing to remember is it's all about subtlety. It's about subtle movements and non-exaggeration. If you're, actually seriously playing this instrument, which is kind of a little bit of an oxymoron. Automaton and serious don't seem to coexist in the most clean and orderly fashion in the language of the English language. But it is kind of difficult. So I'm going to show you today how to make this work, because this instrument is like a theremin, or it's like if you ever taken like a rubber band, snipped it in half, and then held it. You don't have to snip it in half, but held it up to your ear, kind of pressed it in, went pong, dong, 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 and kind of like pulled it up and down, like adjusted the pitch that way. This is just like that. It's just about these tiny itty bitty movements, and it's very squirrely and it's hard to use. But with that said, I'm not going to talk for too long because we've got a lot to cover in a short amount of time. I will cease with my loquaciousness and get on to the automaton. So we have one automaton, we have two automatons. Personally, I prefer this one because you have a bigger fretboard. You can call it a fretboard, fingerboard, whatever, and it gives you more range to play with, which I think makes it a lot easier. Plus it's bigger and it typically has a little bit of bulkier of a tone as well. That aside, what did we cover last time? So basically in the basic tips and tricks video, I talked about how this instrument, you basically, you play it by touching the board, by moving your fingers up and down. I talked a little bit, I'm a cellist personally as well. Spent years playing in orchestras, and that knowledge kind of translates to, how to use your fingers in these kind of different positions you can establish to hit the notes more accurately. That is one of the tricks I talked about last time. I think right at the end I mentioned a little bit about vibrato, and this is actually quite like the cello. It's this open, imagine like twisting a doorknob kind of motion that you kind of anchor with your thumb, but not too much thumb pressure because that's not good. But you get a nice vibrato that way, which is always helpful. So those things you need to keep in mind when you're playing the automaton. Next, so basically for this piece, for the Beethoven song, you gotta feel it out. And again, if you are automaton deaf, dad jokes, you're gonna have a very, very difficult time with this because this is an instrument that is not labeled and has no reference point other than just being able to slide your finger to where it is. I'm lucky enough to have perfect pitch. It's easy for me. But you can tone match really easily. You can listen to a song and just kind of pause it and move your finger to where the note is correct. So as soon as you anchor yourself on the first note, you're good to go. E, that's the first note we're starting off on. First off, I'm going to just tell you but I'm keeping this right in the middle setting because high is annoying and low is too low. Basically, for this first part, I'm going to break this down in little chunks. So the first thing you want to do is find the note. And if you can look at this automaton, chances are you'll be able to kind of visually find it on yours too, assuming you have the same one of the same size. So there we go. That's an E. So that's a high E. So then you start to do a little bit of vibrato there, and you can hear as well that a little bit of police siren going there. But the trick is, for this intro part, it's just a little bit of that. It's this subtle movement. And you can hear how easily right there I start to get sharp and flat just from a tiny bit of movement. So it's very, very subtle. So practice that. Break it into chunks when you practice this. Then you gotta find the next note, which is that. The next part, you jump down. Again, it's just gonna be about feel, because this is such a tight area that you're playing with here, right? I use my first 2 fingers there. Like that. And then go into the next part. And the way I'd suggest you do this is, first off, you just need to practice shifting back and forth between these 2 pieces. And you can see right there, it takes a minute. Like, it took me a lot of takes to get that right, because it's so subtle. I would suggest for the climb up, the do-do-do-do-do, for those arpeggios, use your first, second, and fourth finger. Again, like I talked about in the last video, kind of establish a finger pattern that you use, and try to create this sculpture out of your hands that you can kind of use. And you can start doing that, and then eventually you get to the point where, you know, you can start using that as a climb up. And then you jump up to that note as the next note. For this next part, you can use 1, 2, 3. Like that. And then back up to the note, and then the same pattern, the first pattern we did, repeats itself. Like that. Like that. And if you can do that, you're done. Now, did I explain this perfectly? No! So if you go down in the comments and tell me I didn't, I'm plenty aware of that. No, in all seriousness though, this is a very difficult instrument to talk about, because I have no tabs, no anything. So that's basically it. Did I tell you anything that was, like, you know, made a lot of sense? Are you mocking me right now? We're not gonna do that. I am plenty aware that this didn't make perfect sense, and I apologize, but, you know, it's not like it's a guitar I can go to the 15th fret and play, and like you just can't. If this kind of made sense, just rewind it. What I'm trying to instill in you at the end of today is this idea of taking it really slow, minimalistic movements, and then basically establishing these different patterns you can use with your hands, and you can get muscle memory and start to work up the automaton like that. And this is a totally goofball instrument, but you can actually play it like something really, really cool, and people are like, what is that? That's so sick. But again, the biggest problem with this instrument is intonation. It's extremely difficult to get in tune. So just keep practicing. Practice with the tuner if you want to. Keep listening to the song. And you can always use this video as a reference. So like I said at the beginning, I make music. I make pop music. Usually I make all kinds of music, but pop is like what I do, because it's, you know, most people like pop, and, you know, whatever. So yeah, if you're interested in that, I'll play it at the end. Go check it out on Spotify. I'd really appreciate that, or whatever platform you use. Spotify is like the biggest I'm on, but yeah, I'd be super appreciated. Follow me on Instagram for more music goofiness. I do a lot more than just automaton. I make covers and songs and weirdness, and I'll link some videos at the end if you're interested. So one more thing I want to mention, I'm also really, really busy, so I'm sorry if I don't respond to comments. I typically don't. If you actually have like a question that you're really interested in knowing, please feel free to DM me. Please feel free to DM me on Instagram. I definitely get back to you there. So thank you so much for sticking around. I really appreciate it. Hopefully this didn't bore you too much. We're in crazy times right now, so it might not be a bad idea for you to pick up your automaton or order an automaton and try it out for yourself and learn a little bit, because it's definitely very amusing to play. So take care, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a great one. Take care.
I just want you in my arms. I am so fragile, never trust in anyone. Oh, so won't you come?